So, Dale asked me to speak on leadership, but more importantly, on how to lead people that don't want to be led. I said, you want me to tell my life story? Because that's pretty much how it's been for me. But who here has tried to lead people that don't want to be led? Anyone? Have you? Everybody's hands should be up. Have you ever tried to lead a toddler? Have you ever tried to lead a teenager? Not easy to do. But usually when we think about leadership, we think about entrepreneurship, we think about business, we think about great leaders in history. But what we don't think about is in our own families, in our relationships, in our friendships. Leadership is everywhere. But to tell my story about my leadership story and how I was able to lead people that didn't want to be led, I have to go back to this girl. So this is Angela at the age of 8. Self-doubt, insecure, red hair, freckle-faced glasses, the whole bit. So she was really struggling in life at this time. But the one thing that I was good at was athletics. I could run. Mum found out I could run, so she put me into athletics. So the track became my training ground for leadership. And my mantra was, if it's going to be, it's up to me. Now, has anybody ever said that in their lives before? I think we all have. And the reason why I used to say that is because I did not play team sports. I didn't want to have to rely on anyone else. I just wanted to be able to rely on myself. Excuse me. But I realised that self-leadership was only ever going to get me so far. To go big and to have big success, I needed to learn how to lead people. So along came Mark. I married Mark when I was 27 years old. Some of you know the story. Mark had been married before. He had 2 children from a previous marriage, Jack and James. They were 5 and 6. And we became what's called a blended family. And blended families are amazing, but the odds were stacked against us before we even started. Because I say it like this, you meet that person, you fall in love with them, but what you don't see is this amazing village of people that stand right behind him. And they all have an impact, an influence, and an opinion on your relationship. And that is not easy to deal with. And I used to think to myself, how can I get these people to like me? How can I be accepted? Because as a person coming into a village, I was the intruder. I was the person that they didn't want to know. So I had to learn how I could simulate to get into this group, into this village, and get them to like me. And I remember one day listening to Oprah speak, and it was her last show she ever did. She had been doing her show for 25 years. This was her last show. Does anybody remember her last show that she did? Well, she came out and gave this incredible speech. And in this speech, she said, after 25 years of interviewing people, this is what she found out. She said, from interviewing some of the biggest leaders in the world, right down to like the average mum and dad, the janitor, celebrity stars, she said there was a common thread that ran through everybody. And she said every time after she would do the interview, they would say, was that okay? And she said she knew that there was this one thing, a common thread that ran through everybody, and that was validation. People wanted to be validated, no matter who they were. And she said it like this, do you see me? Do you hear me? Does what I say matter to you? And that went off in my head like a light bulb. I thought if I could validate the people in the blended family, in the village, maybe that will help me be able to get along, to be able to be accepted by allowing myself to understand that I hear you, I see you, and I understand what you say matters, even if I didn't agree with what they were saying. Along came Dylan. Now, Dylan is 18 years old. He's my husband, Mark, and I's son. And Dylan, we knew from the beginning that he was different. He was like wrestling a crocodile just to change his nappy. He was full on from the day he was born. So we put him into preschool, and from preschool, that's when all the phone calls started. There was always a problem. There was always an issue. He was always in trouble. Could not conform, could not line up, wouldn't get out of the sandpit, wouldn't listen. Nothing major, always just silly stuff. Very defiant. We went through a lot with Dylan. Put him into normal school. I used to say to Mark, how are we going to get him through 12 years of school? I didn't know what we were going to do. We used to say, how is he going to get through life? He can't even just do the basics. He can't even line up. And I did everything I could to advocate for him. We soon found out, after being tested, he had ADHD. After that, we also found out that he had ODD, which was oppositional defiant disorder. You say it's black, he says it's white. So like, great, let's just throw another layer on top of that as well. But Dylan, we ended up getting him through school with a lot of challenges, with a lot of work. I did the lion's share of it all, and we got him through to year 12. And I remember when we were in New York, we just came out of the Michael Jackson show, and I get a phone call from the principal. And they said, Angela, this is the principal. We're on the verge of expelling Dylan. 3 months from the HSC. I said, what? So we came home, we went straight to the principal's office, and we were both sitting there, Mark and I and Dylan, and we had to say why Dylan was allowed to stay at the school. Now, this was not for major things. Lots and little things. Going into the music room when he wasn't supposed to, being defined on different things, and they weren't going to let him do his HSC. So after that, the principal said, we told our story, he wasn't buying it. And Dylan started to get really upset because he said, in 7 days, come back and we'll let you know whether or not you can stay in the school. Dylan started to cry, very, very emotional. He said, if I can't do my music, my assessments, all of these, my guitar, I don't think my life is going to be worth living. So a very, very stressful time for us. I said, Dylan, no matter what happens to you, mate, I said, you're going to be okay. I said, no one can determine your future but you. And I got up, I said, get your bag, let's go. I said to the principal, you have no idea what we've done to get this boy to here. I said, I am crawling across this finish line. I hope you make the right decision. That night, half an hour later, we get a phone call, he's allowed to stay. So I saw him walk across that stage and get that certificate, and I was just a huge amount of relief and tears. That night he had his graduation with his girlfriend, looked amazing. And he said they all had to write a letter to their parents. And in this letter he wrote to me and he said, you mean everything to me. You are your leadership. I am who I am today because of everything you've done for me. And I was like, oh, some of the stuff landed. I was so grateful to see this letter after all these years of getting him through. It was an amazing moment in my life. And as leaders, we have to advocate for our kids. We have to stand up for them. We have to lead them. And that's what good leaders do. Through this process, I wrote a book called The Second Wives Guide. Now, this book was for women, just like me, who were second wives or part of a blended family, and they were struggling just like I was. And there was no blueprint for anyone like us. So I wrote this book to share my message. This book did well, and it went on to, I was asked to come over and speak on the morning shows in America. So this was an interview in Good Day Austin. It was my second interview when we were there. And I sat down on the stage with this lovely man on the couch, and he said, Robert Duvall just left here. And I said, Robert Duvall, the Hollywood actor? And he said, yeah. Automatically, imposter syndrome came over me. I thought to myself, what am I doing here? This is ridiculous. Angela, you just need to get out of here. They have serious people on here. I just wanted to run. But I couldn't. I was stuck. The fear came over me. It was just like that little girl, that 8-year-old girl, the red-haired, freckle-faced, insecure, she came up. She was right there. And she was saying, get out of here, get out of here. And I remember thinking this fear that came over me, and I thought about this book that I read by Elizabeth Gilbert, Big Magic. And in it she said, when fear comes over you, put the fear in the passenger seat. Acknowledge that it's there. You're there for a reason, to teach me. You're there to protect me. But you know what? I'm going to take the wheel. I've got the driver's seat. I'll take it from here. And a light bulb went off, and I thought, just focus on one woman who's going to hear your story. Just focus on her. She's in a blended family. She's a second wife. She's struggling. She's going to hear what you say. And then that is going to be all the difference for her. So it was like 5, 4, 3, 2, we were live, and the interview went really well. It could have gone a lot worse, but I focused on her and no one else. As leaders, we have to go first. We put fear in the passenger seat, and we step forward, we be brave, and we take it off ourselves, and we focus on how can we be of service. I came back from those interviews, and my husband said, why don't we start that little chicken restaurant we always spoke about? I was like, well, what chicken restaurant? I never spoke about a chicken restaurant. And he said, oh, yeah, you know the one. We'll get Jack, my stepson, into it. It's going to be great. We're entrepreneurs. Don't worry. It's going to be awesome. No hospitality experience. No idea what I was doing. I never had staff before, but we got involved. We started our first restaurant in Parramatta. It was really, really difficult when we first started. We put on chefs who had far more experience than me. They were rolling their eyes. No one was listening to anything that I had to say. Jack, we put into management. Why? I don't even know. He'd never been a manager before. And Mark, it was all great for Mark. Mark was the CEO of a building company, and he was at work. He was delegating all his people and all his staff. Everybody was doing everything that he said. But for me, I was delegating, and no one would do anything. And I went home one night and I said, Mark, I don't know what we're going to do. Nobody's listening to me. I was crying. This is the biggest mistake of our lives. He said, we need to lead with our story, our vision. So we came back the next day and we spoke to them about the brand. And the brand became the bridge. We gave them a story to believe in. We spoke about Vasco. Vasco da Gama was a Portuguese explorer. And we built our business around his brand, this brand. And we said Vasco da Gama was a Portuguese explorer that went out to Africa and India and got the chilies and he got the spices and he brought them back to Portugal, and that was the basis of the peri-peri sauce and the chili sauce. We spoke about discover, enjoy and share. We spoke about we wanted people to come and hear us, discover the food, enjoy the food and share the food. That was our motto. So we just started to tell our story, our vision, our why. Dale said to me, Angela, do videos. No other chicken restaurants are doing videos. Do videos. Put yourself out there. So I did all these really, really clever videos. Why we use free-range chicken. Why the chips were better than anyone else's. Why we did this, this and this. That was a bit different. And then people started to buy in. The staff started to listen. I think of Ted Lasso. Who loved the Ted Lasso show? The leadership stories in Ted Lasso. Just go to YouTube, put in Ted Lasso and watch all the leadership stuff that comes up about Ted Lasso. That show was incredible for leadership. But he was just like me. He came from American football and he went over to the UK and he was going to coach soccer. Completely different sport, completely different country. The team did not buy in. Nobody believed in anything he said. Same as me. No experience, no skill set, no respect. But what he did was he got people emotionally involved. He spent a lot of time with a lot of the team. And he got them to believe. Do you remember that believe sign? It was just a piece of cardboard. They all had their hand on that believe sign. He got them to buy in and believe. Ego never. Do you remember how humble he was? How he would have humility with everybody? He would say, well, what do you think? What's your opinion? I started to do that with the staff. I could not lead with expertise because I had none. I had to lead with a vision. I had to lead by letting these people come on board. And they're like 3 really clever leadership skills from Ted Lasso. So from resistance to results, they started to believe. See, belief is caught. It's not taught. They started to catch my belief. I would step forward every day feeling the fear, making the mistakes, falling on my butt, getting back up constantly. But I kept believing. I kept saying the same thing every day, our vision, our mission. And people started to believe. The power of a brand. Vasco's logo went on. We decided to sponsor the Parramatta Reels. So our logo went on 30,000 hats, scarves and merchandise. This was a big investment for us. The stadium had just opened up down the road, Parramatta, near our store. So we knew that if we got involved, it would bring more of the community in. It was amazing. This restaurant became a ritual. People would come before they'd go to game day. And we made it so much fun. We'd all wear our Parramatta jerseys because we've been followers of the Parramatta team in our family for decades. So it all worked, it all blended in. It was a big part of our brand, and people would come there before the game. We knew everybody's name. We'd have live music, and people loved it. They'd say the chicken's great, this and that. And I would say it's not about the chicken. It's about the business. It's about the brand, and it's about the community. If you haven't read the book, The Obstacle is the Way, I really encourage you guys to read that for leadership skills, because Stoicism is an incredible way that I've been able to lead my team. And they talk about the fact that it's never the obstacle. I had a lot of challenges, a lot of obstacles, and a lot of odds stacked against me. But the Stoics believe you don't even think about the obstacles or the challenges. Don't be scared of them. Don't resent them when they come. Understand that they're part of your lesson. And the more that you can push through, the obstacle becomes the way, because on the other side of that lesson and challenge is everything that you need to learn to become the great leader and the person you're meant to become. There's a framework here. I'm going to touch on it really quickly. Have you ever, the Pixar movies? So you think of Finding Nemo, think of Up, think of Toy Story. Amazing movies. They get us emotionally involved in the story. We watch them, we laugh, we cry, all these things happen. But there's a framework that these guys use, and it's called Problem, Solution, Transformation. And it goes like this. Remember in Finding Nemo in the beginning where the mother dies? So there's some sort of tragic thing in the beginning. And then what happens? He goes on a journey, he gets lost, father goes to find him, they go on this emotional journey, up and down, up and down. They find their solution, they get back together, they meet each other again. But through that journey and that process, there's a transformation that takes place. The transformation is they're not the same. They've changed. They became better. We walk out of there as a transformation. It's as an audience, we feel transformed by just watching it. So if you can bring this into your business and your message and your leadership and think, what is my problem? Well, think about the problem. What's the pain in your problem that you solve? What's the deep pain? Then go through the journey, explain how you found your solution. And then from that, don't miss this part, the transformation. If you can explain the internal transformation, that will change everything for you. We sold our restaurants about a year ago. And I have taken my life lessons, my expertise, my battle scars, everything into my next chapter. Now, if I didn't go through those years and years and years of challenges, obstacles, and everything that I had to go through, I wouldn't be the person I am today. That is my transformation. So think about it like this. Did Luke Skywalker win the galaxy, or did he become the person he was meant to become? The transformation is the key. So I hope from my talk today, this is the message that you received. It was never about leading people that don't want to be led. It was about becoming the leader that you become through the process that is worthy of a following. Thank you.